Last night I told our little friend Dodgy Roger if I saw him in the street I'd give him a knuckle sandwich, just to explain the fact I couldn't do it if I wanted, not because of him, because about that far below my neck is the T7 vertebrae, which is crushed. It's a crushed fracture. Down the base of my spine, the L5 vertebrae is crushed. I only found that out the other day because of the extensive pain I was having. So I went back to the doctor and I had an MRI. The MRI could not be done at Geraldton Hospital because Dodgy Roger and his crew are misfits, and the Labor Party that's been in power for quite a while, and the Liberals before them, have failed to supply the equipment needed by the Geraldton Hospital. So instead of having an MRI at the hospital, which would be a reduced amount of money or none, I had to pay $550 to get an MRI on my lower spine. The trouble is, what I observed from our little friend, Dodgy Roger, who's got a lot to say about so-called sovereign citizens, is you've taken control of this country. And according to Ann Toomey's videos, you're above the Constitution. You have supreme authority. And that authority is plenary, all of which is lies. If she comprehended the Constitution properly, she'd find out that that's true. So you've set yourselves up that way, and you claim to have signed us up to the United Nations, paid millions of dollars, and we don't even have a seat on it. The reigning purported Deputy Prime Minister went and signed us up to the WHO. She didn't sign us up at all. You sign your political parties up. So they have no control over us at all. But one thing I observed, looking at and listening to the dribble pouring out of the mouth of our nice little premier, purported premier, Roger Cook. For once, I've never seen you before, but now you've got your eyes a bit further open. They're normally just little slits because that's how you look. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not a criticism. It's an observation. Only what I saw in your video is your eyes were bloodshot. Your pupils were dilated to the extent it just about covered all the colour. So my question to you is, were you drunk? Had you been drinking? Were you on drugs, or all of the above? I'm not being rude, I'm asking you a simple question, because when I come on here and put the law to you, you seem not to be able to comprehend that it exists. So really, can I have that other torch, please? Just one of them. I want to address a couple of these clowns. One clown being our lovely little Dr. Rich from the university. He thinks this, he thinks that, he has no idea what he's talking about, but go along with it. And your WA policeman turned sovereign citizen, that's a lie. Whoever wrote that's a moronic halfwit. I'm not a sovereign citizen, the political parties are, and John Flint. So what I'm putting in there, what you people have put out the biggest load of dribble, and you put another piece on here, and some people put it together and sent it to me. I'm not Mr. Glue, my name is Wayne Kenneth, and my family name is Glue, so you got all that wrong, but let's not worry too much about your dribble. The point is, and I made it very clear last night, this is the Commonwealth Constitution Act 1900 UK, the supreme law of this country, above everything. And Toomey misled the Parliament for either from lies from other people or just has no idea what she's talking about. This is an enabling act, enables us to have a constitution, and it did, and we have. This is a constitution put in place for the state of Western Australia, 1889, but this has got 32 sections missing. The political parties who were around, like the Fabian Society, Freemasons and other vermin, decided that they could put in place Constitution Alteration Act 1899. But in the Constitution it clearly says, under Clause 7, on the proclamation of the Constitution, the old entities known as the Australasian Council and the colony cease to exist. Fact. It is a fact. Now, they do cease to exist. So does every single law that they had in place. The Transfer of Land Act, the Police Act, because they all had to go back to imperial law. You had no power then or now to interfere with the state constitution. It continued subject to the Commonwealth Constitution and altered in accordance with its constitution. What knocks you clowns out simply is they're letters patent. You can't touch them. You cannot do the things you're doing. You try to make out that I'm a violent person. I'm not. Because when that thing that moved in with my ex-wife decided that he could shove me around, I could have easily bashed him. I had a piece of angle line in my hand. It was all on film, and I've got that film, so don't bother to say it didn't take place. I'm not going to say who he is. He knows who he is. He shoved me, and I said, that's assault. He said, I'll assault you whenever I like. I had a piece of angle line 1 metre long. It was 50 by 50 by 4 mil thick. I was driving his padlock off my shed, where he was taking my stuff, or others were, but he was there. It didn't matter. I didn't touch him. I filmed the lot, and when I called the police, which was the option I had, my ex walked between me and him. The whole lot was a set-up. They thought I'd give him a smack in the mouth or whatever, and he'd be justified in bashing me or whatever he thought. But it didn't work because I didn't bite on what they said, because I don't king hit people, nor would I even consider king hitting people. And at present I'm not capable of lifting anything over about 1 kilo because of my spine. So as for hitting somebody, that wouldn't happen. Now, you call me a sovereign citizen. You're a liar. You three morons are liars. I'm not a sovereign citizen. I'm a sworn officer of the Crown, a subject of the reigning monarch. Like it or lump it, that's true. You people are just rotten liars. I had to pay $300 or $550 for an MRI because I had to go to St John's Hospital. Nothing wrong with them. They supply a good service. What I've got to think, I'm on a pension, which is very limited. And you could limit it even further if you wanted, and you have done. You never paid me for 10 years and 9 months that it took me to get a pension. Even though I worked my guts out all my life. Didn't matter. You wouldn't give it to me. And that's fact. What you haven't supplied is there's no MRI machine at the Geraldton Regional Hospital. Why not? Where's all the rest of the equipment you promised for the Northwest? MRIs, machines to deal with blood disorders and everything in all the Aboriginal communities? You have done nothing. You have supplied nothing except give billions of dollars overseas. Why are you pouring so much money into the Aboriginal machines? The corporations. I'm not saying they shouldn't have money. The corporations should have none. There's 300 and something thousand proper Aboriginals to half caste, which is in the state constitution. This one, the one that Queen Victoria in here said every native shall be fed, clothed, housed, and given a small amount of money. I was told you were pouring $54 billion a year into the Aboriginal machine. It's $34 billion that came out in federal parliament. $34 billion divided amongst 300,000 full Aboriginals or half Aboriginals would net them a couple of $1 million each. Why aren't they getting the money? It's ordered out of the state constitution because the political party sovereign citizens, liars and frauds and traitors, are using the money and manipulating it through the corporations. Look at the people who run the corporations, driving around in new cars, big houses, everything. Areas of land being fully decorated and everything else, while the rest are in hovels and not got anything of any consequence. Why haven't they? The money's being paid there. Why aren't you doing it? Why did you remove the Crown out of your fraudulent constitution? Why did you add local government to it? Because it ceased to exist on the proclamation of the Constitution. How do we know? Because Section 51, subsection 38 of the Constitution says so. Did you ever have control over land? No, you didn't. The Transfer of Land Act was an invalid act. You had no authority for it. If you did, it would be in Section 51 of the Constitution, but it's not there. The states are created by the Commonwealth Constitution Act. They're created by it, and they draw their authority referentially from it. Do you understand what that means? There is areas in the Constitution which lays out the legislative authority continued by the states, the created states, because they didn't exist before Federation. That's another lie. And you people have lied and cheated and ripped off everyone in this country, because what you're doing is creating yourselves as supreme and superior to the people when you are not. And by doing so, the Bible says you're putting yourself below them, and you are, you maggots, crawling in the sewer with dribbling crap. That's all you ever do. And your allegiance, because you're a citizen of the United Nations, the one world system which you're trying to drag us into, which is socialist, communist, dictatorial system. You don't give a hang about any Australian. High Albanese brags about 25% off the ridiculous price of medicines. I don't use your medicines. I use natural things which take away the pain in my back, because your medicines don't. I took them once. It spaced me out. I felt sick. I couldn't control what I wanted to do. They sit around looking stupid, so I didn't take them anymore. Took one lot. And I refused to take any more. I refused treatment on my back, which is a needle, every 6 months. The doctor can have it. He wanted to give it to someone, give it to himself. Nice guy, but I'm not taking needles in my back. I'll deal with the pain. I'll get over it. It'll take time, but if you push yourself, it'll fix itself. Your body's perfectly capable of healing yourself. The problem we have in this country is we aren't given anything by the Parliament. It is serving its political parties, its masters in the United Nations. It does not represent us in any way, shape or form. It rips off as much money as it can from all of us. And why do they get away with it? Simple. The voting system was taken over by the political parties. The Constitution, Section 8, says we can vote for one person once for the Senate. Section 30, one person once for the House of Representatives. One person. both of which represent the state. We've got 6 senators for each state. Why aren't they in our parliament? Why aren't they representing the whole state? Oh, the political parties. That's it. You've got to look after the political parties. No, we don't. They're not in our constitution. How we should look after them is under Halsbury's Laws of England, Volume 2, Treason Felony Act. Lock them up. Get rid of them. We don't want them. Send them to the United Nations. They want them. Feed them. Look after them. We don't. You steal everything off the people. You know, there's a short stay group of homes being built not far from where I live for the people who come from all the outlying communities, the Aboriginal people. It looks more like a compound. It's got spikes on top of the fence. It's like a compound. It's got cameras everywhere, lights everywhere. What they're going to do with that, I don't know. The land, I thought, belonged to Bundyera Corporation. If the federal government pay $34 billion a year into the corporations, how come they didn't build all those short stay units on there? Nothing wrong with the units. But why is the state parliament, Roger Cook, paying for those units? Big sign up there, financed by them. And how come it's taken so long? How come it's taken so long? And why isn't there a similar facility for white people who live all out in the country? Why do we not have the same rights as Aboriginal people? Have they got extras? According to what you can see there, absolutely has. And you're paying for it, Roger Cook. Yeah, I know your wife's an Aboriginal and your daughters are part Aboriginal. So what? I'm not criticising that. What I'm criticising is we've got inadequate medical facilities in our towns. You're moving them all out, the facilities that is. For the Aboriginals up north, they've got the buildings, they've got no one to man them and no facilities at all. Why not? Why aren't you providing that? Why are you lying and misleading the people and saying, oh, look, we've given you 20% off your HECS fees. What about the high interest you got on them now that is increasing the amount of money? It's doing next to nothing. 5% deposit on a house that you'll never ever own. Why don't you come out and say you've changed the titles to Torrens titles, which you had no authority to do? You actually stole everybody's land. So you are a lying thief, Roger Cook. And Mark McGowan is too. One of your cohorts, I won't say his name because he's had a stroke, and I wouldn't put any more on his family. They got enough. But one of your ex-ministers at the Wagrakine school, when I went to hand in a paper saying I'm not going to vote, he said to me, oh, how are you going with your court case in relation to the council? I said, we won. He said, it doesn't matter, we'll pass a law and take your land anyway. That's exactly, it's not a law. It's not a law. You passed a load of nonsense without any authority because you don't have any lawful governor to sign off on it, to say it's lawful. Then you haven't. You really lie every way you look, don't you, Roger? The facilities in the Geraldton Regional Hospital are so bad that they fly any patients need any serious care to Perth. Fly them regular, every week, every day if it happens. Serious accidents, stabilise them and send them to Perth. Because you do not have the doctors and facilities to deal with it. Oh, you're building a new section on the hospital. Why don't you put the MRI, a new MRI machine in the facility you've already got so that we've got treatment now? Why don't you have resuscitation equipment in the local prison? A person I know went to that prison, had to be moved to another one because you've got no resuscitation equipment. He's got a heart problem. It can't be resuscitated, so he could die if he was in this prison out here. Why hasn't it got the facilities? You got Kangaroo Jack and Shillingsworth and them screaming, oh, Aboriginal deaths in custody. If they are dying, they're dying because there's no medical facilities in the prison. You put him in incarceration, you have to supply medical services to them if they need it, and you're not doing it. You know, the biggest problem we have in this country is the lies and fraud out of the sovereign citizens being the political parties. You didn't remove, with the Acts Amendment Repeals Court, no, the Oath Affidavit and Statutory Declarations Act, you didn't remove the Oath of Allegiance, which was the schedule to the Constitution you got. This one, it's in the middle, can't be removed. Why aren't you swearing the Oath of Allegiance according to law? You think you're above the Constitution? The people are sovereign and supreme. The supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority remains with us. The Constitution says the Constitution is above both houses of Parliament and they must comply with it. Simple. Every single act must be passed pursuant to, in accordance with and under the authority granted by the Constitution. It's not. Why not? If you're serving us and you're not, why isn't it done that way? Because you're lying, thieving traitors, sovereign citizens. Your citizenship is to another country, run by the United Nations. Nothing to do with us. You want to swap us under their control, you're not going to get it. If you do get it, it will be for a short period of time. 3.5 years. You see, the biggest prophetic book in the world is the Bible, and it's never been wrong yet. It says you're not going to get your own way. It says if you don't repent, you're going to hell. That's the biggest barbecue in history, and guess what? You're the meat. You are upholding and protecting pedophiles day after day because you know they have been, the Royal Commission revealed who they are, and you're concealing it. Why? You will not touch these criminals. You will not deal with traitors in this country. There is no such thing as the Australian Federal Police. It's either the Commonwealth Police, officers of the Commonwealth, swearing the oath contained in our Constitution, or you do not exist. There's no maybes or whats or anything else. And Toomey's idea that you don't have to do this, you don't need a referendum for the Australia Act, don't worry, it's only got one word, liar. Did she tell, is she a liar? I can't read her mind, I can't tell if she knows, or she's just repeating other people's dribble. All I know, I can see clearly, she's reading from a screen because she has never got everything she says in her head. Never got it. She thinks she's above everything. Yeah, all these so-called lawyers, they're under challenge. Why? Because they've sworn an unlawful oath, contrary to 44, subsection 1 of the Commonwealth Constitution. They're sitting in treason. Section 5 of the Acts Amendment Repeals Court and Legal Practice Act of Western Australia purports to give them authority in the court as officer of the court. And can't, unless they swear the oath. A court is a gathering under the sovereign. Means everybody in it. Public services, servants and all. Security, the whole lot, must swear the oath in the Constitution, or you're not officers of the Commonwealth. Try and file a prerogative writ of mandamus, prohibitionist, or Tory against these people. You can't. In the High Court, prerogative writs, because they're not officers of the Commonwealth. The High Court said so. We got the letters that say that. We tried it out. Now you're trying to say the electoral boundaries stand. No, they don't. There are no electoral boundaries. Nor can you have them. You only want them so you can manipulate them like you did when I sued the governor. I sued the governor, who wasn't one, in his private capacity, and he never fronted court. Department of Public Peanuts did, and tried to withdraw it and ended up withdrawing it. The court wouldn't hear it. They wouldn't hear that he, without lawful excuse, signed a purported law to change electoral boundaries in favour of the political parties being Liberal and Labor. Labor ended up in front of the Liberals because of it. The same way Albanese is bringing in immigrants. I'm not saying they're unlawful immigrants. They're made unlawful when you make them instant citizens. There's no such thing as that type of citizen. They become naturalised and subjects of the Crown, or they don't exist in law. So all of you people that have come in under this latest scheme by Albanese and the sleazebags in the political parties, you're not lawful. Not because you're not honest, not because you're not good people, because Albanese has misled, deceived and lied to you. Do you realise if we get rid of Albanese and the Liberal Party and the other parties get authority, or the people get the lawful authority, you have to leave because you're here unlawfully? You're here unlawfully because nobody can give you instant citizenship. Nobody. You have to qualify. It's in our constitution. You cannot sit in our court in the fancy dress or religious dress of your country. I don't care if you're Muslim or you've got a turban or whatever you got. This is not about them. It's against the fact you're breaking the law. They haven't been lying since 1973. They've been lying since January the 1st, 1901, and shortly before that. And that's a fact. And I'm not causing an argument with you, Frank. Stop putting comments on, please. I'm not going to answer any more. What has happened in this country? A pack of lying, thieving creeps who are nothing more than sovereign citizens who that Dr. Doolittle in the paper should be investigating, exposing the truth. You see, the poor policemen got shot, 6 of them, according to the Commissioner. They were public officers, they weren't police. They were creatures of statute, they weren't officers of the Crown. Who said so? Kirby did. Sydney City Council versus Reid. The whole system is rubbish. Absolutely. It's bent, it's twisted, it's wrong. They're liars, they're frauds. People have a right to immigrate to this country from other countries. People have a right to emigrate from anywhere in the British Empire and retain their British citizenship. And they domicile in Australia. They have to register. After 5 years, they can vote, they can go in our parliament. That's all available to them under our constitution. Why isn't it given to them? Because simply the political parties are stopping it all, taking control. Let's take their babies and see how they like it. Unfortunately, Emma, 2 wrongs don't make a right. It would scare the heck out of them, but you wouldn't get away with it. They'd hunt you down and dispose of you. What did you do about that flea bag from Tamworth, or alleged to be from Tamworth, who's got a better looking dog than he has, who threatened to kill Desi Freeman's wife? Shoot her, shoot his kids, and shoot me. What did you do about that? Nothing. Nothing. And if they shot me, we'll put him in jail. You do nothing to protect the public. I don't care. It doesn't scare me one little bit. Albanese is sleazing around football matches and everything else. What I like about it is he had to move his office so that the church next door wouldn't be damaged and beat up because of that idiot having his office there. No, Albanese, you're not popular. The only popularity you got is the biggest knobhead ever put into Parliament in this country. Anyway, I'm not going to keep going on about you. everybody knows what a knobhead you are, what a total moron, liar, traitor, fraud, and sovereign citizen you really are. It doesn't worry me. People say they wish me well. I'm physically fit. I've got 2 crushed vertebrae, one up the top of my spine, one down the bottom. And I have to be helped to change, put my shoes on, stuff like that, until it improves. If it never happens, my wife has to keep doing it. Well, she doesn't have to if she doesn't want to.
Maybe.
But she'll do it because we have a mutual love for each other, and that's how it is. But am I in agony? No, I'm taking natural things like moringa, cayenne pepper, ginger, all the things that take away the pain and soothe it and make it easier to live with without having to take pharmaceutical crap which clogs up your body and destroys it. And that's the end of it. I don't care what you think of me, Roger Cook. You're a lying, thieving little maggot. You stole my property, you and Mark McGowan. You said didn't matter what the court ruled. How's that for justice? None. You were taking the property you did and you sold it. If your act, which isn't even law, says I owe the money, I owe it, even if the court rules against it, and they did. There's 43 witnesses in the court, so your little mate, minion, Shane Van Stein lied, ABC lied, you stole my property. And you objected to me saying anything, saying, oh, it's a civil matter. Oh, it's a civil matter when the police, the council, the lawyers, the courts, and the newspapers conspire together with the lawyers for the Shire and Landgate and steal my property and transfer it without a court order. I've got all the documents. I went and paid for them, got them, and recorded their legal officer telling us exactly what took place. And didn't like it when he found it. Oh, look, you can't record us. I said, why not? All the cameras are around you recording us. You see, we have the title. We own it under the laws of remitter, imperial law, which is law in this country under the 9 clauses. You can't take them out. You have no power to do that. You think that by pushing people and browbeating them, I don't give a hang about the property. I don't give a hang about money. And you did steal my property because I won in the court. So you stole it by lying and changing our titles, which you had no power to touch land of any kind. It transferred the Crown to us, nobody else. You don't issue proper titles when the Aboriginals earn their or get granted their land rights. You don't give them a title, not one that can be used. It just goes into a corporation where it can be ripped off and abused later. That's what you're doing, lying to them as usual. Everything you're doing is criminal. So while you turn over in your pea brains what I've told you, think about the fact that at the end of the day you're going to lose, and it's not far away. You set 2030, wait until you see what happens then, not what you think. The Bible's never been wrong yet, and it's not going to be wrong this time. You're going to pay. I'm not acting Max Fleming, I'm not getting into somebody's mental conditions, and I'm not going to explain what that is. I don't need to. I'm here to teach you what our law, the supreme law of this country, says, and nothing more. They don't like what we're doing. Yeah, it is, Julie. Perfectly great, takes the inflammation out, works. I can prove that. Anyway, you have a nice day. I hope you, all politicians, have a huge dose of hemorrhoids, because you'll get back what you're giving us. So have a nice day. Thank you.